I'm posting this video to ask for help. Originally, I wanted to figure this out on my own and then post a complete video of a finished product, but I'm finding out that I probably could use some help. I don't really have as much time as I'd like to put into Elite Dangerous. So let me just get right into it. This is the bubble. All right, currently I'm up here at 17 Draconis. Okay, now let me talk a little bit about what I'm trying to do. First, let me switch my map to a different mode. All right, I'm switching to the star chart, or the star mode here, and I'm just going to put on non-sequence stars. All right, and now I'm going to talk a little bit about what I'm trying to do, and then afterwards I might talk a little bit about why. Okay, I'm going to go up to the Neutron star plane, about between 1,000 and 1,100, somewhere around there. There's one above and below, about the same distance. Oh, I turned it off. Okay, there it is. All right, so the Neutron star plane. Okay, it's between, let's say, if you look at the middle number right here, it says 1128. All these neutron stars are in a plane between 1,000 and sometimes I think it might even go up as high as 1,200, maybe a little further. Depends on, probably, as they start to thin out now. Towards the center of the galaxy, closer towards the center of the galaxy, there's plenty more of these in that plane. But as you get further and further out towards the bubble, that plane gets a little bit narrower. So let's go back down. And they get, quite a bit fewer and farther between. But still, there are many, many, many more of them on this plane, between 1,000 and 1,100, even all the way out towards Sol. Okay, so let me show you what I've got so far, and you just have to excuse how messy this looks, but let's turn on bookmarks. Okay. All right, so what I've been trying to do after having discovered this was to, like, once you get where you see the stars are very thick, or even along these spirals, there's, they're denser. So once you get out towards the center here, having a chart isn't even really necessary. There's so many of them that you can practically go wherever you want to go. Just neutron star jumping, but closer to Sol, they're a little bit harder. But I would say about right here. Let's see if I can get over here to it. Right in this area where you see these that I've found, these are all neutron stars. And there might be one or two white dwarfs in there. I was just mapping anything that could give me a boost. Really don't need a chart. I mean, up here, if you have a decent jump range, say 50, 60 light years or more, you're going to be able to just jump, probably start jumping from neutron star to neutron star, and go all the way to Colonia. But there's a problem with that, and I'll get to that in a minute. All right, so what I was running into was this. Well, what I was trying to do, I'm here at 17 Draconis. All right, this is a place where you can fuel up, and I'm at a station called the Paradiso. So it has large landing pads, and it's pretty far up above the bubble here. And the last named star, neutron star, that I can see here is called Joseph's Lighthouse. That's where I started charting or surveying all this from. Found Joseph's Lighthouse. And I had already discovered the plane up here of neutron stars. So I was trying to figure out, like, how do I get from Sol, or, you know, wherever I'm coming from, up to that plane as efficiently as possible. Hopefully, you know, using as many boosts as I can. And there's quite a few neutron stars out here, but not enough to have a continuous boost. There's some places where there's several hundred light years in between, and that's not a big deal. But, and I'll get to the reason why I'm doing this in a minute, but what I want to do, and what I was hoping that maybe other folks out there, maybe there's a couple other people out there that might be interested in helping me find, you know, and there's no rush on this. I don't care if it takes a year or 2 years or whatever, or, you know, people can do this if they want to or not. But I want to find systems that have a secondary star, or you know, not the primary star, that's a neutron star that's not super far out. Like, I don't want it to be like a 10-minute flight out to the neutron star. What would be nice is to find stars out here between Joseph's Lighthouse and, we'll say, these stars up here. So that I could perhaps fill in the route here. So I wouldn't mind jumping into, you know, where the primary star is a, you know, a star that you can't get a boost from, and flying out to a neutron star, getting a boost from there. And you might be wondering, why do that? Okay, so let me get to what I had been doing as like a personal challenge. Maybe it's a useless thing in the long run, but the reason why I started doing this, I'll explain. So let's go to starport here. Okay, so I have here a beluga liner, and what I was interested in trying to do was fill. Right now I don't have it so, but I was thinking about trying to fill all of these cabins, maybe even get rid of this booster here, and get rid of, I mean, I wasn't even sure. I was wondering, perhaps I don't even need to have a fuel scoop. I haven't really figured out how I wanted to do this, but the extreme idea is it possible to fill all of these up with cabins? So I make like 6 E's for economy class. I put a luxury class here in the 5B, maybe another luxury class, or maybe a first class here. But for the smaller compartments, I take VIPs, and for the ideas for the larger classes, I take economy and VIPs for the smaller classes. And then perhaps I do a super cruise assist, so that I can have it automatically stop whenever I'm arriving at neutron stars. Now, the extreme idea is, can I make it all the way to Colonia and back? Not and back, but all the way to Colonia to on one tank of fuel in the beluga liner. So that would be about 128 tons, I believe, of fuel. Right here, 128 tons. So, of course, you can't do that when you're doing the longest jump possible, but I would have to make it here, from here, 17 Draconis, I think, up to this plane here, and then I need to plot economically through neutron stars. And as I go through the neutron stars, I get the boost. And then I would make a very short jump with that boost. So I would be greatly enhancing the fuel economy of even an economical route. So what I did to figure out whether or not this was even feasible is I put a 16-ton tank on there, and I plotted out economically from, say, this is 100s, okay? So say I was here, I plotted out as far as I could go, and then what turned out to be, off of 16 tons of fuel, about 500 light years. The way I have it equipped now, it probably could be made a little bit more efficient, but we'll say I can get 500 off of 16 tons, so I assume I could get 4,000 light years off of 128 tons. And if I were to, and that's without using any neutron stars. Now, if I were to pass through nothing but neutron stars economically, I'm assuming that I could get up to 400% on that. That's 16,000 light years. Of course, this is not even mathematics. It's just super speculative here on whether or not 16,000 can turn into 22,000, whenever you're actually doing it. I just don't have the mathematical skills to know. But, there's a little bit more to it. Like, not only do you have to make it, here's the problem, not only do you have to make it over here to where Colonia is, and this is where I put this bookmark here. I believe that's a neutron star. But then I would have to travel down to the colonial bubble here. And that's a couple of thousand light years. And the thing is this is on the bottom, it's below the galactic center plane, closer to the neutron stars, which are down here. So when I first started looking, first started looking at the idea of doing this, you could basically run along this plane of neutron stars all the way out to here quite easily. I have to replace a little segment of this because I made a mistake about this bookmark. This bookmark is here for a different reason. The neutron stars actually continue pretty easily all the way over to this area. And then in this area, I was having pretty much the same problem on the bottom. They just thin out. So this is what I was working on, and the reason why is money, because I think it's been a while since I first looked into this. I was out here at Colonial one time a year or two ago. Like I said, I haven't really been playing Elite Dangerous for a long time, but I was out here and I did some work out here, and I built up my faction with one of the planets to ally, and I was able to get round trip passengers that wanted to come here to the bubble, and they wanted to see something at this planet or that planet. And at the time, I wasn't trying to do this on one tank of fuel, but I was filling up several compartments, but I don't think I had not filled up the compartment, like one of the 6s for a fuel scoop. I had kept a fuel scoop, and I had, I think, something to repair the ships, to repair the FSD from the neutron boosting, the little bit of damage that you take. And I was running a long range, so nothing enhanced for integrity as far as the FSD is concerned. So anyways, I think I had a few. I think I probably had a booster, but with what compartments I had left, and I don't remember how many that was, but there was a few taken up with other equipment. This was going to get me, I believe, about 300 million. I come out here, turn around, go back. It's a long run, and probably all told, maybe, I don't know how many jumps, maybe a couple hundred jumps or something. I'm not really sure. just doing it with a fuel scoop. So it's, not terrible, and it's about 300 million, I think, at the time. I can't remember if it was 300 or 350 million. It's been a while. So I was wondering, like, just out of curiosity, if I were to use up every single compartment. And let me go back in here real quick. And I just don't have that information at my fingertips right now to know how much it was, but I could give a general idea. These sixes here, they were all of them. When you have ally status, these are all worth 50 million. That's like the cap. So these four right here with VIPs, these were all worth 200 million. There, okay? And then, of course, the amount goes down because your party size is getting smaller. Because you had to find the right party size. You basically had to fill this cabin up. And I think, I don't believe that, I doubt they sell them here. Just take a look. Well, they actually do sell some cabins here. Well, the 6C is 12, and I think maybe that's probably what it was. I don't think I ran all luxuries. It's difficult to find enough luxury classes to, at least from one station. I mean, I think if I searched around knew the stations to search around the colonial bubble, I probably could check a few if I had my status or my faction status high enough with enough of them. But anyways, I think I had first class mostly. So the first class were paying 50 million, and I believe that's the cap. Maybe it's higher if you can find luxury. I don't know. But with first class, I believe 50 million. So that was making these right here worth 200 million. And then it went down, and I think when it came to a class 3 size, maybe it was, I mean, I just want to say it was maybe 10 or 12 million for each of those. So, each of these 3s here, I think there's 4 of them, might get me another 50 million. The 4 and the 2 5s might get me another, I'm not really sure. Like I said, it was about 300 million, so maybe my math is a little bit off for these, or my memory is a little bit off for these smaller ones. But anyways, I think if I could fill up all of them, maybe I can get to 400 million for a single trip. But is it worth it without having a fuel scoop, having to do it economically? It could be, way too many jumps. I don't know if I'll even actually try it. I mean, perhaps just, getting, keeping it the way it is here with the booster. And even if I were using a smaller fuel scoop like this, if I were to, let's just say, and this is another option as well, I don't have to do it economically because those jumps are very, very short. They're usually like 10 light years or less. But if I had a fuel scoop, even a small one, and say I went up here to the plane. Oops, too high. And say I was here. If I were just to go every 100 light years like this, each of these, put one in the center of each of these squares, and then I don't even have to have it charted out. I just look for one about 100 light years away, and it'll take a while. Maybe I could chart them out like I've done here. These bookmarks are all rather close. I'm sure that there's many closer if you look for them. But even if I was just making 100 light year jumps and my capacity was, say, 60 light years, with the boost, that's about 240-ish, I guess. I think actually with the Beluga liners, closer to 50 with all those cabins. So we'll say it's 200 light years. So I'm only jumping half the distance that I can jump. I could probably make, with the 128-ton tank, I'm just guessing, maybe I could make 20 or 30 jumps, maybe more, in between fuel stars. So even if I fill up a little bit slower with a 3A, I can get up and take a break and then do another 3,000 light years, take a break. Is that worth it? I don't really know. But anyway, enough about that kind of speculation. This video is already becoming quite long. The idea of asking for help was to see if I could find more neutron stars in this area. And perhaps, really, I found there might be more that I'm missing, but if I could find some systems that have secondary neutron stars, if any explorers out there are willing to help, have nothing better to do, or other people that are also interested in making money running passengers to Colonia and back, perhaps they might also help. And I'm not sure if I could share these bookmarks. I don't think it's really necessary once you get up here. It's not really necessary to share them because there's many of them. So even if you don't have it charted, finding neutron stars is quite easy up here. But, and this took a while. I actually brought an apps Explorer out here, and I think from up here I was just plotting a course to different places down here and allowing it to find the neutron stars itself, because it will try to find neutron stars if you have the boost option. You tell it you want to look for the boosts, it'll look for neutron stars. So how I found most of all of these out here is just doing that. I just parked up here and then would plot all around out here, just plot a whole bunch of different courses out here until I was finding these neutron stars. But if I were to try to do this challenge with the beluga lighter, I would probably be starting here at 17 Draconis and heading up to that plane, then going over to Colonia, seeing if I could do it on 128 tons. Is that possible? Maybe someone that knows this game better than I do can come along and say, forget about that, it's never going to work. So anyway, that's it. And thank you for your time.